Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Way of Life. I'm your host, Gus Holland. Before we begin this episode, I want to inform you that wayoflifepodcast.com is officially live. That's where you can find all social media links. You can listen to the podcast. You can also find merch. That's WHEY, like the protein. As always, leaving a rating and review and sharing with a friend is the best way to help the podcast, and I greatly appreciate it. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into today's episode. Hey everybody, and welcome to the 50th episode of Way of Life. I want to thank y'all once again for all the support that I've been receiving for the podcast. Today's episode is about gym etiquette and also some pet peeves that some listeners have submitted. Now, most gyms nowadays have a set of rules that are in place that you kind of agree to when you sign up for your membership. But some gyms aren't that great at actually enforcing these rules, and some don't really have many rules besides just generic ones to protect the gym. And from a different point of view, this is always important to remember when signing up at a gym. If they only have like 3 rules to follow, just remember that there's only 3 rules for everyone else to follow as well. So besides actual rules and regulations from the gym itself, we're going to be covering etiquette today. Basically unwritten rules that kind of make the place better for everybody. Number one, and probably the most important to a lot of people, is equipment usage. It's important to remember that other people are also waiting to use the equipment that you're using. Not all the time, but often. So if you're having excessive resting between sets, or you're on the phone, or you're making a phone call, or you just have your water bottle and towel there to kind of hold your spot for you, this is all kind of frowned upon for the most part. Basically, a good rule of thumb is to limit your time on any given piece of exercise equipment between 20 and 30 minutes, unless like a treadmill. If you're going to do an hour run, then you're going to do an hour run, but normally 20 to 30 minutes is good enough as far as strength training goes to or hypertrophy training. 20 to 30 minutes is good enough time to get in all of your sets. As an example, if you're doing a 2 to 3 minute rest in between each set, and let's say you're doing five sets of 6, so each set's going to take you about a minute. You're going to have 2 to 3 minutes resting. So that's 3 to 4 minutes per set that you're taking. That would be about 15 to 20 minutes for your entire exercise. So that's reasonable. And if somebody is waiting a long time for a specific machine, then, they can work in between you. Like if you're taking a 3-minute rest, that's enough time for them to swap the weights out and get their set in. Y'all can tag team the machine basically. The other thing I want to cover is cleanliness. Be sure to wipe down your equipment after you're done using it. I'm not quite sure rules and regulations for gyms, and it's going to vary from state to state as far as the necessary cleaning that they have to do per day. But wiping it down after you're done using it is not only good for hygiene, but it also shows respect to the others who will be using the equipment after you. Also, another thing, just for cleanliness for yourself, if you notice that somebody just sweated all over the machine before you used it and they didn't clean it up, it's a good idea to go ahead and wipe it down before you use it. A good idea is to bring your own towel to the gym just to wipe off any excess sweat from you or others. Nobody wants to sit on a wet piece of equipment. A third thing is noise. An important aspect of gym etiquette is the noise level. No one really wants to hear you grunting loudly or excessively dropping weight on the floor. Obviously, if you're lifting very heavy weight, you're in the top 1% of lifters in the US, then you're going to be dropping some weight. You're going to be doing some grunting, and people are just going to have to get over that. But excessive grunting, like people screaming across the gym basically, or just having poor form and not controlling their weight when it needs to be controlled. And a lesser common thing, but something that still happens and I've heard of happening, is people blaring their music actually from their phone instead of listening to it through headphones or something. That's kind of ridiculous and uncalled for. Another thing that is actually become quite a big pet peeve, just even across social media, is people's personal space. It's important to respect other people's personal space and not to be too close to them while they're working out. This is not only just a comfort thing, but it's also a safety thing. Obviously, if somebody's training like a power clean or a snatch, deadlift, squat, anything that needs a wide area of space, and you should give it to them. That's just 101, basics. If you need to walk past an area where someone's lifting and you're going to be getting in their bubble, even just for a few seconds, you should stop and wait until they're done with their lift, just to make sure that you don't snag your shirt on their bar or interfere with the safety of them in general. If you're waiting for a piece of equipment, that's understandable and that's reasonable, but you don't need to stand 3 feet away from them while they're trying to do a chest press. I say as long as you're within like 10 feet, it's going to be obvious that you're waiting for that machine. You can also ask them, like, when they're in their rest period, hey, do you mind if I jump in and borrow this machine, or do you mind if I snag this machine after you're done? So that way that kind of reduces the anxiety of like somebody else getting the machine after them or whatever. And hopefully that'll make you more comfortable to give people more space. Also, in regards to personal space, mirror selfies and videoing in the gym. Some gyms have explicit rules against all of this without permission specifically from the gym. Some say don't do it at all. Some are completely cool with it. But even if your gym is completely cool with it, not everybody wants to be in your video. I mean, it could be something as far as them concerned with their own self-image, just self-consciousness or what have you. But it could also be for other reasons that they don't really need to explain to you. But this is part of respecting people's personal space. If you're going to record something that is also recording other people in it, maybe either give them a heads up, ask them if they're cool with it, etc. There's several ways to go about this respectfully. That about wraps up the basics of gym etiquette and pet peeves in the gym. Remember, being mindful of others while you're at the gym can make everyone's experience more enjoyable. And thank y'all for listening to this episode. I will see y'all next time. Before I go, I do want to tell y'all about the shirt giveaway that will be fully disclosed on the Instagram page. That's at Way of Life Podcast. That's a thank you for all of the support and to celebrate the 50th episode. All of the details will be on there, and go check it out. All right, I'll be talking to y'all next week. Bye.